Let's learn a little. Volume 1. I'm so excited. On the Space Ghost console. Today we're learning how computers work. Just the very most fundamental answer to that question. A lot of people, maybe you probably already know this stuff that we're about to learn that I didn't know, and you're like, this guy's just an idiot. Look at this idiot. Or you didn't know this stuff, and it's really cool and exciting and fun, like for you too. I just decided I really love computers. And about 6 months back, I started learning programming on a really cool program called boot.dev, learning back-end computer coding, because I really would like to get a job in tech and have a job in tech and be able to make actual, like, a good amount of money. And so anyways, I was like, it's a good topic, computers. I would love computers lately. I really like computers, getting into them, how they work. How the hell do you get from binary zeros and ones to a YouTube video on your screen? Tell me, how do we make that connection? Maybe over the course of more than several videos we'll get there, but for now we're just starting with the very basics, and this is just a bite-sized, digestible videos are what these are intended to be, so not going to be very long. We're getting in for no more than like 25-30 minutes learning, and so this intro doesn't need to be very long either, you guys. So without further ado, okay, thank you so much for clicking on the video and being here. If you haven't already clicked subscribe, be sure to click on the little sick-ass mecha, little angel mecha in the bottom right corner of your screen with got a little red laser sword. He's cool as fuck. I made it a cool as fuck thing to click on, so you might as well be clicking on something cool as fuck. If you're clicking on something to subscribe, you're clicking on cool as fuck thing. Okay, so thank you for visiting the channel, for watching the video. Go visit the channel, check out the playlist, check out this video, you guys. Let's get to learn some stuff about computers and how they work. Okay, boom, have some fun, you guys. Ghost out. Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. Thanks for clicking on it and being here for it. We're just gonna watch a couple of videos on how computers actually work. Okay, so let's just get into it. I'm going to add my own little quippy little remarks and break it down in my own words and how my brain interprets things. So I'm going to be honest with you here. Right off the get, the first like 30 seconds of this video, I watched it, but I'm not past that. And I thought it was like kind of dumb. I was like, alright, okay, don't talk to me like an idiot. Like I'm some sort of jerk at first. But then he said the word transistor, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. So let's just...
It's difficult in this day and age to do anything without the aid of computers. What started out as an expensive luxury tool has transformed into something affordable and small enough to fit in.
So at first it was an expensive luxury tool. It was just a tool, like a big whole entire room-sized item that was just used for like science. It's very expensive, and only the luxury a scientist got to.
Your pocket, in your car, or even in your refrigerator. But if you ask any regular person, they probably couldn't tell you the first thing about how a computer works. To first know how a computer works.
He's like stressing out about it. He's like sweating. Like, well, how does it work? I'm looking at it like, it's me too, bro. Like, I just started coding lately. Well, like maybe like 6 months ago, I very first started. Okay, so like I just started like practicing learning coding. Like, is this hat like casting a shadow on my eye? I don't know. I'm gonna move it like this is my learner's hat, everybody. So on boot.dev, right, and I'm like made it to sets past just finished dictionaries this morning, and my New Year's resolution was to get a 365-day streak in boot.dev, and after a year of this, I can look at like maybe like college or a tech job or like an internship at Microsoft Leap, or to take it from there, but this, I just want to do this first, and I want to do the 365 days. Even if I have to hop in for like 5 minutes and do one little thing in a day, then that's my plan, okay, and I'm sticking to it. So let's pick up where we left off.
Difficult in this day and age to do anything.
Yeah, he's sweating about
into something affordable.
That's what I was saying. Thank you very much. The guy's
your
looking at the thing, like that's the thing. Like I like computers. I realize they're really cool. I'm a big computers nerd. Like video games and computers, and it's like, what am I going to do with my life? I'm going to go to college because I'm a dumb idiot, and so I'm going to get a tech job. I want to get a tech job. That's how I can make 6 figures. You know what I mean? Tech job, baby. What do? Learn programming. Okay, start there. Cool. Sounds good. And then I know it's really hard from there. Thank you very much. I do, but that's where you start, so that's what we're going to do. So that's why today's topic, and the first few topics probably of this series will be about computers.
They probably couldn't tell you the first thing about how a computer works. To first know how a computer works, you first need to know how a transistor works.
Bam. Okay, so now we're going to learn how that is. But first I want to say, we like, the thing is about how do you get from binary to show me like seeing a video or playing a video game on there, or the internet. Like, how the hell do you go from zeros and ones? I know that each 0 is false and a 1 is true. That's called booleans. in programming languages, true and false values. But still, how do you get from there, from true and false values for like each pixel color value for you don't even know. You just start to get all twisted up and spun around. So
a transistor is a small semiconductive switch that acts as a gate. Transistors can either be turned off or turned on. When they're
true or false?
Turned off, no electricity will flow through them. But when
really.
they're turned on, like the naughty semiconductors they are, electricity will flow through.
Naughty.
This means if you hit a transistor gate with an electrical signal, you could measure whether or not the electricity continued to flow or stopped. In other words, you could see if the transistor was on or off. Suppose you labeled an off transistor as 0.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
In other words, hit a transistor turned off, no electricity will flow through them.
That we understand.
But when they're turned on, like the naughty semiconductors they are, electricity will flow through. This means if you hit a transistor gate with an electrical signal, you could measure whether or not the electricity continued to flow or stopped.
Right, so if you send some electricity to it, you can measure whether it's off or on. Simple.
In other words, you could see if the transistor was on or off.
Suppose
you labeled an
whether or not the electricity kept going through it or stopped at it. Off or on.
Off transistor as 0 and an on transistor as 1. If you had very large...
This video's got sick music. I don't know what this visual has to do with what he's talking about right now, but I'm just telling you I'm all here for this video, the way he's describing stuff in the music. It's just really good. I like this.
Labeled an off...
This is funny, guys. Thanks for coming to the video. This is Space Ghost Console. Let's learn something a little bit. Thanks for being here. I hope you're enjoying it yourself. Go check out the channels of gaming videos. We're just going to learn something out there. There's a bunch of noses and books like a bunch of nerds, but that's what we're doing today. It's a lot of fun here, too, so I'm glad you guys are here.
Transistor as 0 and an on transistor as 1. If you had very large amounts of incoming electrical signals, you could theoretically use them to perform math to calculate anything imaginable. This is the basis of how computers perform math of incoming electrical signals. You could theoretically use them to perform math to calculate anything imaginable. Whether or not the electricity...
So you're telling me we can use transistors and their... Is it because we have zeros and ones now, you're telling me? Because we have off or on, and that gives us enough to do all math? Is that what you just said?
Or stopped. In other words, you could see if the transistor was on or off. Suppose you labeled an off transistor as 0 and an on transistor as 1. If you had very large amounts of incoming electrical signals, you could theoretically use them to perform math to calculate anything imaginable.
Yes, that's exactly what he said. Oh my gosh. Oh, that just ripped... Oh my god. That just ripped my mind in half. Connection made. Full circle. Binary zeros and ones. Transistors off or on. Lights going off in my brain like 4th of July.
This is the basis of how computers use the binary number system and count using just zeros and ones.
Oh.
Occasionally.
So it's like software to hardware. Software meets hardware, bro. The hardware version of zeros and ones is transistors.
Computers will also count to 2, but this only happens when the computer is in sleep mode.
What? You just told me the computers count to 2, not just 0 and 1. What the only when they're in sleep mode?
And is having a robot nightmare. The most important piece of any computer is the calculator punching unit, or the CPU. The CPU has...
Calculator punching unit. That's what CPU stands for, everybody. Welcome to Let's Learn Something on Space Ghost Console. Holy crap, this is awesome.
Millions, billions, or potentially zillions of transistors in it, and uses all of them to perform very complex mathematics very quickly.
Zillions of transistors
receives
in there.
Input signals from whatever you decide to do on the computer, such as clicking a mouse, typing on a keyboard, or liking your cousin's swimsuit photos on Twitter, even though you know God will punish you for that when you finally die. From there, the CPU takes your input signals, runs them through its wide array of transistors, and forms complex sentences. Those sentences could be something like, "Hey, show this video on the screen," or "Why the fuck hasn't Steam opened yet? I was told to open it like 4 minutes ago. Hurry up and divert 100% priority on the opening this fucking thing." These sentences then need to be packaged in a way that the rest of the computer parts can understand.
I'm not saying swear words.
Most other components to a
This guy's just speaking like a sailor. That's okay, man. Fuck it. Fuck it. We're learning. It's serious shit. We're goddamn grown-up adults. Fuck it.
God will punish you for that when you finally
I'm
die.
talking to this guy's a funny guy. I like this guy. Okay, so yeah, all the transistors are creating signals to do whatever's going on. We get that so far, I guess. You know, it's like
Why
basically.
the fuck hasn't Steam
very
opened yet?
iceberg
I was told to open it like
surface
4 minutes
understanding
ago.
of that.
Hurry up and divert 100% priority on the opening this fucking thing.
This fucking
These
thing.
sentences then need to be packaged in a way that the rest of the computer parts can understand. Most other components to a modern computer are too dumb to understand the English language, and far too dumb to understand the robot language of the words beep and boop said at different octaves. To get around this, high-end processors are also installed with a plain language chip, which converts the overly flowery language of the lightning-fast CPU into phrases the rest of the hardware can work with. For example,
so that's what a high-end processor is and does. It's taking the binary language of the transistors, probably because it's so much, and like compressing it down into something that the rest of the parts can like take in and understand.
the rest of the hardware can work with.
Let's just hear that one more time.
For example, words beep and boop set at different octaves. To get around this, high-end processors are also in.
It's like, okay, I'm not gonna ignore that. What this guy's going on with beep and boop stuff.
High-end processors are also installed with a plain language chip, which converts the overly flowery language of the lightning-fast CPU into phrases the rest of the hardware can work with.
Okay, cool.
For example, a plain language chip may translate, "Hey, turn the case fans up by about 20%" into, "Oi, fuck, it's fucking hot, crank the fans a smidge."
Okay, so one more time he said, what's the difference between the high-end processors and the plain language chip? The processor moves it into the plain language chip. I didn't watch this part. This is starting to get very complex. Let's just watch this part one more time.
Far too dumb to understand the
start back here where
I was told to open it like 4 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Hurry
okay,
up and
you can
divert
go
100
to
to be
F words.
packaged in a way that the rest of the computer parts can
We want to
understand.
package the language, okay.
Most other components to a modern computer are too dumb to understand the English language, and far too dumb to understand the robot language of the words beep and boop said at different octaves. To get around this, high-end processors are also installed with a plain language chip.
Oh, it's
which
inside of the high-end
converts the overly
processor.
flowery
Okay.
language
See
of
that?
the
I wanted to answer
lightning-fast
that question.
CPU into phrases the rest of the hardware can work
Wow,
with.
the plain language chip is inside the high-end
example,
processor. Why? Because the high-end processor does more than just a...
Plain language chip
we're
may
getting ahead of
translate,
ourselves here. Let's
"Hey,
just watch
turn
the
the
video."
case fans up by about 20% into, "Oi, fuck, it's fucking hot, crank the fans a smidge."
Right.
And into, "Hey, let's check out what's on TikTok." The sentence instructions become output signals.
I get
the
it.
output signals then go to the other components of the computer, such as the monitor, graphics card,
No, one more
second
time.
output signal. What's on
becomes
TikTok?
output signals? Exactly.
The sentence instructions
the
become
sentence
output
instructions.
signals. The
Okay, so sentence instructions are what like he said earlier, like the CPU is forming sentences, right? And they become output instructions. Okay.
output signals then go to the other components of the computer,
Output
such as the
signals.
monitor, graphics card, second monitor for background noise, headphones, third monitor for biblical scriptures, or wheels you attach to the side of the case so you could ride it through the airport. Those are the most common computer accessories. But if you happen to have something weird and impractical like a printer, it would apply to that as well.
This guy's such goof. I love
Computer
it.
technology is nearly doubling in speed every 2 years,
Wow.
which means in about 20 years, your phone will probably be your new car, and your gaming desktop computer will be your new wife. Scientists estimate
Sounds
that
good
the
to me.
world's smartest computer could potentially perform calculations from Algebra 2 textbooks, which everyone knows is impossible.
Wait a minute.
Scientists estimate in
Okay,
about
sorry, what is that
every
last
2
part you
years.
said? You said that
Technology
was
is
trippy,
nearly
wasn't it? Let's
doubling in
catch that
speed
last
every
part,
2
break it
years,
down.
which means in about 20 years,
Yeah,
your
wife
will be
marry
your
your
new wife.
You're gonna marry your video games.
Scientists estimate that the world's smartest computer could potentially perform calculations from Algebra 2 textbooks, which
Oh, that's the dumbest thing ever. We can already do that. I don't know. That's some sort of joke he's making. It's a good joke, buddy. Thank you. That's a fantastic video. That was incredible, actually. Hug bees, you guys. That was freaking phenomenal. So, okay. Whoa. What are we doing? Got a couple more videos to watch there, but they're not very long either. So let's just kind of sum up, I think, everything we got out of that, right? Like, okay, so binary is in fact transistors. And that tiny little thing, there can be zillions of those, up to zillions of transistors in a CPU, which stands for calculation punching unit. One more time, what did CPU stand for?
And active switch that acts as a gate. Transistors can either be turned off or turned. The CPU has millions. Punching unit. One piece of any computer is the calculator punching unit.
Calculator punching unit, which contains up to zillions, millions, billions, even zillions of transistors, all either receiving or not receiving electricity flow. Okay, through these little lines, I believe. You tell me there's not zillions of these little lines, though. How can you have zillions of a thing in there? That's nuts. Guess we're going to learn more about it later. But those are, and then that now is creating each off is a 0, each on is a 1, and now you have binary. The hardware pieces that create that within the software are the transistors, and there now you have sentence instructions, right, that the CPU creates out of all that binary, and then a high-end processor with a plain language chip, thank you very much, that translates that into output signals, or easier to understand instructions for the different components of the computer, like the monitor and the speakers and what have you. Boom. Okay, so now let's watch. We're gonna now watch, you guys, every computer component explained in 4 minutes. That certainly is a bite-sized explanation from Bite-Sized Explainer. Very cool, dude.
Motherboard.
And that's going to give us a good foundation for like 1 or 2 more videos. Every computer port, every operating system. Oh, geez. Every computer component. I guess we'll start with components. There are ports. Okay, geez, me Christmas. Okay, we'll get into maybe some more of these stuff, but let's just watch this one for now, and then that can kind of give us a broader review, some parts, and help our fundamental understanding to, have some key dictionary terms. These would be good ones to watch in every computer-themed video. Let's start with this one.
The motherboard is a flat board with many circuits and connectors where you put the other computer components on. It is considered the heart of the computer because it allows electrical current to flow, composing data to connect to all the computer parts. But despite arguably being the most important, it's usually much cheaper than the rest of the components. CPU.
Interesting. So the motherboard connects the rest of the pieces together. Just one more time.
Motherboard. The motherboard is a flat board with many circuits and connectors where you put the other computer components on. It is considered the heart of the computer because it allows electrical current to flow, composing data to connect to all the computer parts.
Yeah.
But despite
Right, there's that CPU and the transistors composing data to send through the plain language chip inside the high-end processor to the rest of the computer parts, telling them what to do.
Being the most important, it's usually much cheaper than the rest of the components.
Very interesting. Guess because it's just like a plastic board with a bunch of pieces to connect and like little metal cheap transistors and whatever shit. I don't know. Everything else is like a highly custom. I have no idea. I'm just spitballing here.
CPU, the central processing unit or processor,
or computer. Oh, it's not really called a calculator punching unit. That guy is such an idiot. Dang it, guy, you freaking got me. You totally rickrolled me. You stupid son of a gun, you guy. It's not called a calculator punching unit. You don't punch. I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's called, how quirky of a name for a thing. No, it's not. I'm going to quit yelling. It's called central processing unit. It makes a lot more sense. Or the processor, the CPUs. Goddamn son of a gun, that guy.
Is a small square chip that sits on the motherboard, usually covered by a cooling fan. It's often called the brain of the computer because it handles every single calculation and instruction needed to make everything work real quick. For example, when you type something and it shows the words you type, opening a program, or doing things like browsing the internet, it's all CPU's role. Despite its tiny size, the CPU is one of the most expensive and powerful parts of a computer.
Wow.
Graphics card. The graphics card, also called a GPU, is a rectangular board with a large chip in the center, usually covered by a fan to keep it cool. Unlike the CPU, the graphics
Let's
chip
take
in
a
the
look at
center.
it again. This is your graphics card. Okay, very interesting. Wow, you can make a whole video series on the graphics card itself. Obviously, you could. Like, look at what is all these. What is every single little? Are these? These are like. Is this? What are these little braille-looking dots? What the hell is that? I don't know. But this is handling your what? It's just, the graphics.
Usually covered by a
game, and
fan to
also
keep it
what?
cool.
Like in a video.
Unlike the CPU, the graphics card is designed to handle the graphics and visualization of tasks, like when you play video games or do video editing and 3D rendering. Think of it like the CPU as the logical thinker and the GPU as the artistic painter.
Okay.
And it's one of the most expensive components of a
Wow.
computer. But there's another one that's relatively cheaper, and it's called integrated graphics, or iGPU. So unlike the dedicated graphics card, the GPU becomes one with the CPU and uses the processor's power, which makes it cost-efficient, but often weaker performance. So when you play heavy games, you have to use lower graphics settings to avoid lagging. Hard drive. The hard drive is a box-shaped storage device, usually made of metal. It holds all the computer's data, including the operating system, programs, and personal files like photos and videos.
Hard drive. Yeah, okay. Your hard drive storage, right? Okay.
Inside, it has a spinning magnetic disc and a tiny moving arm that reads and writes data. The hard drive is also
Damn, fool. Little vinyl record player. Who knew that? I didn't know that. Did you know that? That's how hard drives work. It reads and writes data with a little needle on a little spinning magnetic metal. Holy crap, that's cool. What is it? What in the F?
able to hold lots of data, but it is very slow at accessing it since it flows through a small wire, and it doesn't always give you the right data. Therefore, we need RAM to handle this. RAM. A RAM, or random access memory, is a thin rectangular stick that plugs into the motherboard. It only stores some data from the hard drive that's needed by the CPU to access it more quickly. To make it simple, imagine the hard drive is a garage full of various items, and the RAM is your tool bag. Since you have so many scattered things in your garage, it's going to take some time to search and grab the tools you need. But if you store it inside your tool bag, you can't store as much. But you can grab the things you need real quick without having to go back and forth just to get the things you need. That's how RAM works. But one thing you need to remember, unlike a hard drive which stores data permanently, RAM is short-term memory that clears everything once the computer is turned off.
Okay, so it helps you, like, for certain channels, like I need to access opening this app, and it like has the processes to do that, like, so it can do it faster, so it doesn't have to search through every single little thing in the computer. It probably like activates as soon as you turn the computer and click that app for the first time, right? And then until you turn it off, it's there. And then it resets when you turn it back on the first time you click on that app.
SSD. The solid-state drive has the same function as a hard drive, but it's faster and more durable because it doesn't use a spinning disk and small wire, but a memory chip. In some computers, it is used with the hard drive, or just the SSD alone. It's more expensive than a hard drive, but it has become the standard due to its quality. Cooling fan.
So, okay.
alone,
What does it stand
it's
for
more
again?
SSD. The solid-state drive has the
Solid-state
same function
drive.
as a hard drive, but it's faster and more durable because it doesn't use a spinning disk
So it's the same exact thing as a hard drive, just
and
better.
small wire, but a memory chip. In some computers, it is used with the hard drive, or just the SSD alone. It's more expensive than a hard drive, but it has
Okay,
become
so
the
it's just more
standard due to its
expensive.
quality.
So it's just newer, more updated technology.
Some areas like the
More expensive, I get it, version of a hard drive. So there's different ways a hard drive can work.
CPU can be very hot, so we need a cooling fan. It's usually attached to the processor or placed inside the case to push out hot air and bring in cool air to prevent slowing down performance or damage. Some
Okay.
high-performance setups use liquid cooling as an upgrade for
Whoa.
better heat management.
Wow, that's so sick. That's super cool. When I get my tech job and finally build my CPU, I'll probably build my first CPU before I get a tech job. That's gonna be like a few years.
Power supply unit.
I want that.
The power supply unit is a rectangular box that converts electricity from your wall outlet to power the previous computer components we've talked about. For
Okay.
your information, laptops
Power
have a power
supply
supply
unit.
as well, despite also
A
having a
smaller
battery
size.
inside it as a portable power. Wireless card.
Okay.
The wireless card is a small component that allows a computer to connect to Wi-Fi networks without the need for a physical Ethernet cable. If a computer
wireless
doesn't have
card,
a wireless
okay.
card, it can only connect to the internet
Well,
through
I
a
have mine
wired
connected
Ethernet
to
connection.
Ethernet anyways because it's faster.
Case. The case is the outer shell of the
Self-explanatory.
computer that houses and protects all the components we talked about.
Cool.
The case also plays an important role in cooling, as it has vents or openings
Whoa.
to allow airflow and help cool the components. Also, there are different sizes and styles of cases, from compact ones for small builds to larger ones for gaming.
Smaller form factor, mini tower, mid tower, full tower. High level gaming, mid and full tower. I dream of a custom full tower build.
Or high-performance PCs. Oh yeah, before you go, previously I made an awesome video about every major operating system.
Okay, thank you. We'll check that out too for sure later on in the Let's Learn series. But let's go over now. We did motherboards. It's just it's the cheapest part of the computer. And it just houses every other part, or like with the parts you can connect it on, essentially. Right? And, hang on.
Computer
more than
components
that.
on. It is considered the heart of the computer because it allows electrical current to flow, composing data to connect to all the computer parts.
Yeah, the electrical current flows through the motherboard to the transistors in the CPU. It's the central processing unit, which creates all the data for all the other parts to use after it goes through the high processing unit and the plain language chip. Now we have the graphics card, which we know what that does, and the hard drive stores all your stuff, operating systems, your files. RAM helps it access the different things quickly, and it resets when you turn off the computer. Solid state drive is a more expensive, better, newer version of a hard drive. The traditional disk hard drive. Okay, your cooling fan and your power supply unit and your case are all pretty self-explanatory. Okay, what's up, everybody? We're done. We did it. We made it. Good job. Pat yourself on the back. You made it through a little bit of learning. Hell yes. I hope you guys were at least had a little bit of fun. I know I had fun learning that stuff. It honestly ripped my mind in half. I didn't know that stuff, and it's really exciting and cool. Transistors are how we get zeros and ones. A zero is comes from a transistor that is not receiving an electrical signal, or is, but it's not passing it on. Okay, it stops there. That transistor gives you a zero. Okay, you measure the electrical flow at that transistor. Does it continue through it and keep going, or does it stop there at that transistor? That gives you a yes or a no, a 1 or a 0. Okay, that's how we get binary. And then from there, the CPU, the central processing unit, not called a computer punching unit, thank you very much, is what is responsible for taking all of the calculations and information that it creates with all the zeros and ones. From just zeros and ones, you can do any math, apparently, because now you can get any number with zeros and ones, I guess, essentially, right? So the CPU then can create data with zeros and ones and disperse that data through a processing high-end processor with a plain language chip in it out to every other part of the computer as instructions for what that thing is supposed to do. Very, very cool. And we learned about a lot of what those parts are. So that's some of the most fundamental parts of stuff of just how computers work. You guys, we're going to get more into it later. Learn about the internet, learn about physics, learn about different stuff on Let's Learn a little bit, you guys. So thanks again so much for clicking on the video, being here today. I really hope you had fun and learned something. That's the idea. So we'll see you in the next one, you guys. This is Space Ghost Console. If you haven't already, click subscribe. If you made it this far in the video and you haven't, you basically already are, so you might as well click it. And I made it something cool to click on for you. It's a cool little mecca down there, so do yourself a favor, click on that thing. Your fingers are going to say thank you. Okay, see you in the next one, guys. Ghost out. Peace.